class, this is your homework assignment for this weekend, as long as you watch it before class next week. This is how to write a quadratic equation when you're given 3 coordinate points. I suggest that you take some notes while you're watching the video. It especially helps to follow along as I do the problem because they're kind of long and I want you to be able to see it. So the example I pulled up are these 3 points. So 1, 15, 3, 31, and negative 2, 6. Now remember, when we're writing a quadratic equation, our standard form is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, okay? And so the way that we start these is we're going to take the first point and plug it in for x and y in the generic equation, okay? So we're going to take 15 and put it in for y, and then that's going to equal a times x squared, and in this case we're going to put in a 1 for x squared. So 1 squared plus b, and then again times x, and x is 1 in this case, plus c. Okay, and so if I simplify this, you'll notice that I get 1 times 1 here, and so that's just 1, and then here I also get 1. So if I simplify this, I'll end up with 15 equals a plus b plus c. Okay, and so you're going to want to save this equation because you're going to need it in a little bit, and we can call it number 1. That way it kind of helps us remember which one's which, because we're going to have a few here. So again, for number 1, I want you to write down 15 equals a plus b plus c. Okay, and then we're going to repeat the process with the next point. Okay, so with the next point, we've got this yellow one right here. And so in this one, my y is 31, and that's going to equal a times, and then in this case, x is 3, so we're going to have 3 squared, plus b times x, again, x is 3, and then plus c. Okay, and so we need to simplify this a little bit. We're going to have 31 equals 3 times 3 is 9, so we're going to have a 9a here, and then 3b, we'll just rewrite it as 3b, plus c. And so we're going to call this equation 2, okay? So go ahead and write that down, save it. Okay, and we're going to do it one more time with c. So I'm going to have to make some room to do c, or I'm sorry, the third one, okay? So just erase these ones. And so in this case, we have the last point, which is negative 2, 6. And so we are going to substitute those in just like we did the other ones. So in this case, y is 6. A times x squared. In this case, x is negative 2. Plus b times x. X is negative 2. Plus c. Okay, and then go ahead and simplify. So we've got 6 equals negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4, so we'll end up with 4a. And then we'll have a negative 2b plus c. And we're going to call this equation 3. Okay. And so we'll have 6 equals 4a minus 2b plus c. So we have our 3 equations, okay? And hopefully you wrote those down. And now we're going to do something that we've done before in a different unit. We're going to do systems of equations. And so we are going to eliminate variables so that you can start finding them. And so we just did that with 3 points of a quadratic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take equation 1 and 2, and I'm going to eliminate a variable, okay? So if I rewrite equation 1 and 2 that I did, right, then I have 15 equals the a plus b plus c. And then the second equation I had found was 31 equals 9a plus 3b plus c. And so remember with elimination, you're trying to eliminate one of the variables, okay? It doesn't matter which one you start with because it's still elimination. I'm going to go ahead and start eliminating b. And I take that back. Let's eliminate c. You could eliminate b, but c, I think in this case will be easier. So let's multiply one of these entire equations by a negative 1. Because remember, we want to get one of the variables to be opposite. And so if I multiply this entire top piece by negative 1, I end up with negative 15. I end up with a negative a negative b, and a negative c. Okay? And then we're going to do the elimination process. And so that means you combine like terms down from those two. So that's equation 2 and the black equation that I made by altering equation 1. Okay? And so in this case, we get 31 minus 15. So we're going to get 16. We have 9a minus 1a, so that'll be 8a. We have 3b minus 1b, so that'll be 2b. And then we have c minus c, and that's eliminated, so that goes away. Okay? We are going to call this equation number 4, and we're going to save it, and we're going to need this in a minute. So equation number 4, we're going to go ahead and write down. So I'm writing it down. 16 equals 8a plus 2b. Okay? And then we're going to repeat the process, but instead of using equations 1 and 2, I'm going to use equations 1 and 3. So remember, you can use a different pair. You don't want to use the 1 and 2 again, right? So I'm going to use 1 and 3, but the rule is you have to eliminate the same variable. So since we already eliminated c, we have to eliminate c again, okay? So if you go back, equation 1 again was 15 equals a plus b plus c. And now we're going to use equation 3, which was 6 equals 4a minus 2b plus c. Okay? Again, because we eliminated c the first time, I have to eliminate c the second time. And so I'm going to do the same process. I'm going to multiply the entire top equation by a negative 1, because that will then get rid of c again. So I'll have a negative 15 here. And then I have a times negative 1, so that's a negative a. I have a negative 1 times b, that's a negative b. And negative 1 times c, that's a negative c. Okay? I'm now going to use equation 3 and equation 1 where I transferred it, right? And so in this case, we have 6 minus 15. Okay? 6 minus 15. So we're going to get a negative, and then 15 and 6, we get 9. And then over here we have 4a minus 1a, so we get 3a. We have a negative 2b minus another 1b, so that's a negative 3b. And then the c's cancel out through elimination. Okay? I'm now going to save this equation as number 5. Okay, so go ahead and write that down. Again, you could also just label it on your paper as different equations. Okay. And so then now I'm going to take this equation 5 and I'm going to combine it with equation 4 to eliminate another variable, okay? And so this is the same process we did when we eliminated 3 variables, okay? So with number 4, equation 4 that is, that I made, was 16 equals 8a plus 2b. And equation 5 that we just made was negative 9 equals 3a minus 3b, okay? And so now you need to eliminate another variable, whether it's a or b, it's up to you. In this case, a and b have nothing in common, so that means I'm going to have to multiply both equations by the opposite number that it is. And since b is already opposite, like I have a 2b and I have a negative 3b, since they're opposite signs, I think it's going to be easier to eliminate b. So what that means is I need this top one to be multiplied by a 3 because that would give me a 6b. And I want the bottom one multiplied by a 2 because that will give me a negative 6b. Okay, so we want opposite. So let's go ahead and multiply. You have to do the entire equation, not just that last piece, right? And so we have 16 times 3, and that's going to be 48. And then we have a positive 3 times 8, and they're both positive, so we're going to get a positive 24a. And then the 2b times the 3, that's that positive 6b. Okay? And then now I'm going to do the second one. I have a negative 9 times 2, that's a negative 18. I have 3a times 2, that's 6a. And negative 3b times 2, that's a negative 6b. And so there's my opposite right there, the 6b and the negative 6b, okay? And so we're going to go ahead and eliminate that. So that means you just combine down. So we have 48 minus 18. So we get 30. And then we have 24 plus 6. That also gives me a 30a. And then my b's are now gone. So now to get a all by itself, I divide both sides by 30. And I found my first variable for my equation. A is 1. Okay? Now from here it gets a little easier because you can just substitute. So I'm going to take that number 1 that I just found. I'm going to make sure I write it down so that I have it. So A equals 1. And I can plug it into either equation 4 or 5 before I altered it. So that's those purple equations up top that you see right there. So it doesn't matter which one you pick, but you have to pick one, okay, of the original equations 4 or 5. Okay. I'm going to get a little bit of room here. So I'm going to go with equation 5. I don't know why, I just feel like it. You could do 4 or 5. So we're going to have a negative 9 equals 3. And now I know that A is 1. So I'm going to replace a 1 there. Minus 3B. So that was equation 5 that I made up. Now I'm just going to start simplifying. So I have negative 9 equals 3 minus 3B. I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. I get a negative 12 equals a negative 3B. Divide both sides by negative 3. And so in this case, B is equal to a negative divided by a negative will be a positive 4. So now I know that B is 4. So we have A now and B. So the last step is I just have to plug A and B into one of my original 3. So my either equation 1, 2, or 3. Personally, number 1 was pretty easy, so I think I'm going to go use number 1. So equation 1 was 15 equals A plus B plus C. I now know A and B, so I can say 15 equals A is 1, B was 4, and C is what I'm trying to find out. And so I have a 1 plus a 4 here, which gives me 5. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides, and I get C is 10. So I now have my A, B, and C, okay? Now all you have to do in order for it to be an actual equation is to plug it back into standard form where it's where you now plug in the A, B, and C, okay? So remember standard form was y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And now I'm simply going to substitute the A, B, and C. So I'll have y equals, A was 1, so if you want to put the 1 you can, but otherwise it's just x squared. And then B was 4, so I'm going to have plus 4x, and C was 10, so plus 10. And so I now have my quadratic equation that I was able to find by just giving 3 points on a graph, okay? I am going to do one more example. That way we can be ready for when we go over this in class. Okay, so I'll see you in a bit.